Have you ever seen a truck so massive it looks more like a locomotive on wheels? Well, there are machines out there that can pull hundreds of tons, cross entire countries, and still grab more attention on the road than a supercar ever could. Some of these beasts are over 30 feet long, with engines the size of small buildings and power that tears the asphalt beneath them. We're not talking about your average truck. These are true heavy-haul titans, built for missions most people can't even imagine. So what's the biggest road-going truck in the world? And just how far can engineering go when it comes to hauling insane weights across highways? Today, you're about to see a lineup of the largest, heaviest, and most extreme road trucks ever built. And yes, they're real. Stick around till the end, because number one on this list doesn't just exist. It'll shatter everything you thought was possible on wheels. Oshkosh M911. Built in the late 1970s in the United States, the Oshkosh M911 was originally designed for military heavy-haul operations, but it didn't take long for civilian transport companies to realize its potential. Today, it's remembered as one of the largest and most capable road trucks ever adapted for extreme freight. Measuring 32.5 feet long, 8.5 feet wide, and standing over 10.8 feet tall, the M911 dominates the highway. The tractor alone weighs around 31,000 pounds, and when fully loaded with a trailer, the gross weight can exceed 165,000 pounds. It's powered by a 14.6-liter Detroit diesel V8, putting out 450 horsepower and over 1,475 pound-feet of torque. Top speed is around 55 miles per hour, and even under extreme load, this thing keeps moving with consistent raw power. The 5-speed automatic transmission delivers steady torque, and with 8x6 drive, 6 powered wheels, traction is rock solid. Its suspension uses reinforced parabolic springs and hydraulic shocks, keeping the rig stable even with high center loads. Visually, it commands attention. A beefy front bumper, raised cab, and triple rear axles announce that this machine was built for more than just hauling. The deep growl of its diesel engine fills the air with mechanical authority. Raw torque on display. Over the years, the M911 found civilian use in countries like Qatar, the UAE, in regions of Africa, where companies repurposed military surplus units to haul transformers, turbines, and massive steel structures, often over long, railless distances. Some were even deployed in high-end infrastructure projects, replacing train routes with sheer road muscle. Today, you'll still see refurbished M911s rolling at industrial shows, icons of engineering endurance. Impressed yet? Just wait. The next one comes straight out of Australia and pulls weights across the desert like it's nothing. Kenworth C510. If there's one truck that defines sheer brutality on pavement, it's the Kenworth C510. Built specifically for Australia's harsh outback, it became a legend in desert trucking, hauling massive road trains where few vehicles dare to go. Manufactured by Kenworth Australia in the early 2000s, the C510 was made to handle blistering heat, endless open roads, and monstrous loads with total confidence. It stretches roughly 33.7 feet long, stands almost 13 feet tall, and in full spec can weigh over 233,000 pounds. Hooked to multiple trailers and a road train setup, it can stretch more than 165 feet, hauling 4 trailers across remote inland highways. Under the hood, there's a 19-liter Cummins K19 inline-6, pumping out 600 horsepower and 2,050 pounds of torque. That's paired with an 18-speed manual transmission featuring deep reduction gears, giving it the grunt needed for serious climbs and heavy accelerations. Its 6x4 drivetrain, dual rear differentials, and reinforced semi-elliptical suspension are made for constant stress. Even on rough or half-paved roads, the C510 stays planted, stable, responsive, and confident under load. From the outside, it looks like a rolling tank. Tall cab, extended frame, twin wheels. And a front end that resembles a freight engine. The engine note is deep and steady, not for show, but for purpose. Used mainly for hauling ore, fuel, grain, and livestock, The C510 can travel days through barren regions without refueling. Its size isn't luxury, it's pure efficiency. More cargo, fewer trips, less downtime. Culturally, this truck is an Aussie icon. You'll find countless videos of it tearing through the outback, dust trails flying, dragging trailers that seem to go on forever. One of the most famous units even pulled a 131-ton road train, the kind of thing most places in the world wouldn't even attempt. In fact, one driver featured in a local documentary said his C510 clocked over 750,000 miles on the same engine. A testament to its build quality and meticulous maintenance. Think that's wild? The next truck is a rare Mack that hauled massive loads across North America, and barely anyone even knows it existed. Mack M45 Heavy Load. The Mack M45 Heavy Load looks like something from a prototype lab, but it was very real. Built in the 1970s by Mack Trucks, this ultra-rare rig was designed for one thing: hauling massive cargo across paved routes where rail couldn't reach. It measured over 34.7 feet long, stood about 10 feet tall, and in operation could hit nearly 200,000 pounds gross weight. It was engineered to move items like industrial turbines, giant transformers, and other ultra-heavy cargo across roads. Power came from a 28-liter Cummins VT1710 V12, pumping out 600 horsepower and over 2,065 pound-feet of torque. Backed by a 16-speed manual transmission with deep reduction gears, it was built for slow, precise movement under full load. Though it used a 6x4 setup, the dual rear axles were reinforced to handle incredible strain. The heavy-duty suspension system absorbed punishment and kept the cargo steady over long distances. Its design was all function: a short, reinforced cab, extended chassis, and a long hood housing that massive V12. The sound? Muffled, deep, and constant, like a giant breathing slowly through steel lungs. Very few were ever built, but it made its mark. The M45 saw use mainly in the US and Canada, especially in industrial zones where rail transport wasn't an option. It's one of the boldest experiments in road-based ultra-heavy hauling. Today, the M45 is a true collector's item. A few survivors exist, and one has been confirmed operational in Texas, used for training and technical demos by a heavy haul company. And if you think that was rare, wait till you meet the next Oshkosh beast, designed for war, but now ruling heavy road around the world. Oshkosh M170 HET. Originally built to carry tanks into battle, the Oshkosh M170 HET later found a second life on civilian roads, hauling extreme loads in industries where only raw power would do. Developed in the 1990s by Oshkosh Defense, this rig was designed to move the M1 Abrams main battle tank. But when retired from military service, many units were sold and adapted for ultra-heavy road use. At 33 feet long, 11.8 feet tall, and weighing over 44,000 pounds without a trailer, this monster was reconfigured to legally haul over 240,000 pounds gross weight. It's now seen in civilian convoys working on infrastructure, energy, and industrial transport projects across the globe. Power comes from a Detroit diesel 8V92TA, a 14.6-liter V8 pushing out 500 horsepower and about 1,550 pound-feet of torque. It uses a 7-speed Allison automatic transmission, keeping torque constant even on long inclines or during slow, heavy startups. Its 8x8 drive system means every wheel is powered, giving it exceptional grip on any surface, a legacy of its military DNA that proves useful in construction zones and unpaved industrial sites. The independent hydraulic suspension was engineered to handle intense weight while keeping the truck stable. From a visual standpoint, the M170 looks like a rolling fortress: tall cab, reinforced frame, and massive axles. On the highway, it needs an escort and special clearance just to move. The engine note is a low mechanical growl, more felt than heard. Today, it's used worldwide by logistics firms who refit military units for civil megaload transport. In places like Africa, it's even used in place of trains where rail networks don't exist. Some companies haul turbines, bridge components, and even marine engines with these beasts. Fun fact, a Romanian mining company rebuilt an M170 to operate in asphalt zones with highway tires, an upgraded cab, and full climate control for long hauls. If you thought that was intense, the next one comes straight out of the Soviet Union, and it's still crushing miles with loads that push the laws of physics. MAZ 537. The MAZ 537 is a holdover from a different era, yet it's still going strong. Developed in the 1960s in the former Soviet Union by Minsk Automobile Plant. It was designed for moving missiles and tanks, but many were later converted for civilian heavy transport across Eastern Europe and Asia. With a length of 30 feet, width of 9.8 feet, and nearly 13 feet in height, this truck is more about sheer volume than sleek lines. Its wide stance, armored-style cab, and massive tires make it look more like an off-road artillery vehicle, but make no mistake, it has serious road credentials when adapted. It's powered by a 38.9-liter V12 diesel, producing 525 horsepower and more than 1,770 pound-feet of torque. That's not a typo. 38 liters under the hood. The transmission is a 4-speed manual with a secondary gearbox, giving it 8 usable gears. It's a simple system, but strong. With 8x8 all-wheel drive, independent torsion bar suspension, and a design meant to operate in freezing conditions or through rough terrain, it's no surprise this truck found new life hauling industrial gear in remote areas. It can tow over 220,000 pounds when configured for roadwork. In terms of looks, the MAZ 537 is intimidating. It has a center-mounted cab, high ground clearance, oversized fenders, and giant wheels. Despite its military origin, many civilian companies in Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan still use it to haul heavy equipment through poorly maintained road networks. In one notable operation, a MAZ 537 carried an 82-ton turbine over 870 miles across icy highways at -4 degrees Fahrenheit, proving that even decades later, it's still a rival to modern machines. If watching these engineering beasts crush asphalt excites you, now's the perfect time. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because we've got even more monsters coming every single week. Fawn HZ780. Built in West Germany in the 1970s by Fawn, the HZ780 looks extreme even by modern standards. Behind its military-inspired design lies a serious road-hauling machine, engineered to pull gigantic loads across highways and industrial sites with surgical precision. Measuring 31 feet long, nearly 10 feet wide, and 11.8 feet tall, the HZ780 weighs over 44,000 pounds by itself. But more importantly, it was designed to tow loads exceeding 220,000 pounds on paved roads, even with steep inclines or tight curves. Its engine is a 21.3-liter Deutz V12, air-cooled, producing around 500 horsepower and over 1,620 pounds of torque. It comes with an 8-speed manual gearbox with low-range gears, built for sustained high RPM performance without overheating. The 6x6 drivetrain powers all wheels, a must when hauling flatbeds loaded with structures the size of buildings. Suspension is handled by heavy-duty leaf springs and hydraulic dampers, keeping everything balanced even under extreme weight. Visually, it stands out with a stubby cab, long wheelbase, military-style fenders, and protected headlights. Its V12 air-cooled engine has a signature metallic roar that echoes like thunder on open roads. In practice, the Fawn HZ780 was used heavily by civilian contractors and government agencies across Germany and the Middle East, often tasked with hauling generators, steel frames, and other high-value components for industrial development. Here's something not many know. This truck was instrumental in building North Sea oil platforms, transporting prefabricated modules from inland factories to seaports over hundreds of miles, often on narrow highways with full escort. And if that doesn't blow your mind, the next one is a Canadian-built brute that earned legendary status in logging and mining zones, and it's still making waves today. Pacific P12. The Pacific P12 was born in Canada in the 1960s, built by Pacific Trucks to dominate heavy-duty transport in forestry, mining, and infrastructure development. Designed to survive harsh weather and carry enormous loads, this truck became a legend in North American heavy haul. With a length of 33.5 feet, a width of 10.1 feet, and a towering height of 13.1 feet, it's an absolute brute. The chassis alone weighs around 37,500 pounds, and in full configuration, it could reach over 265,000 pounds gross weight, especially when pulling industrial platforms or custom trailers. Its engine was a 28-liter Cummins V12, delivering 550 horsepower and over 1,770 lb-ft of torque. A 16-speed manual transmission gave drivers full control on steep grades or rugged terrain, with ultra-low gears turning torque into sheer pulling power. The truck featured 6x6 drive, locking differentials, and heavy-duty axles. The suspension relied on massive leaf springs designed to distribute weight evenly, even during sharp turns or emergency stops. Visually, the P12 is raw and imposing. Compact cab, extra-long frame, and oversized tires with wide axles. The engine roar is deep, steady, and loud, echoing for miles, especially on mountain roads. This rig was heavily used in logging, mining, and industrial transport throughout Canada and the United States. What most people don't know is that some units were refitted for civilian highway use, handling superloads over paved roads with surprising stability. In 1983, one P12 transported a 95-ton hydroelectric turbine over 700 miles, crossing 2 Canadian provinces, all by road without needing a train or barge. Think that's cinematic? The next Mack truck is even rarer and built to move loads that make your jaw drop. Mack M170 Built in extremely limited numbers by Mack Trucks in the 1970s, the Mack M170 was an experimental giant created specifically for road-based, ultra-heavy transport. It was designed for engineering firms tasked with moving hundreds of tons across industrial zones and major infrastructure sites. With an overall length of nearly 36 feet, 10 feet wide, and close to 13.8 feet tall, it ranks among Mack's largest road vehicles ever built. Gross vehicle weight could hit 330,000 pounds, requiring special permits, escorts, and route planning for every trip. Under the hood, a 24-liter V12 diesel putting out 625 horsepower and over 2,215 pounds of torque. That power was channeled through a 20-speed manual transmission with dual range reduction for maximum torque control on critical inclines. It had a 6x6 drivetrain, reinforced axles, hydraulic braking systems, and a suspension built to withstand constant extreme loads. Though primarily designed for pavement, it could operate within industrial sites and construction zones without breaking stride. The truck looked as serious as it performed. Long hood, central cab, towering stance, it dwarfed even other heavy-duty trucks, and the sound, like a cargo ship revving on land. Only a handful were ever delivered, but the M170 made an impression. One of them operated for over 15 years in California, hauling 90 to 120-ton loads across road routes every week. Interestingly, it even made a cameo in an obscure 1980s film, seen crossing a bridge with a massive load. No credit given, but fans of heavy machinery spotted it right away. Impressed by this Mack marvel, what comes next is so rare and powerful, it feels like it shouldn't exist. Hayes WHDX Arbuggy. When you're talking about pushing the limits of heavy road transport, the Hayes WHDX Arbuggy deserves a spotlight. This monster was built through a collaboration between Hayes Trucks of Canada and Transportes Arbuggy, a Spanish firm known for handling extreme freight. At 36.7 feet long, nearly 11.5 feet tall, and over 10 feet wide, the Arbuggy version of the WHDX is a rolling wall of steel. Its gross weight in operation could surpass 350,000 pounds, depending on configuration, and yet it remained road legal with the right permits and escorts. Power came from a Detroit diesel V12 24-liter engine, producing around 625 horsepower and 2,215 pound-feet of torque. The truck used an 18-speed manual transmission with double reduction, enabling it to move massive loads from a dead stop. Its 6x6 drive, locking differentials, and reinforced suspension made it reliable even on narrow or uneven roads. It was so precise it could operate in urban centers during delicate night transports, with police escorts and full traffic control. Visually, it had a square cab, split windshield, dual headlights, and tires so wide they looked like they belonged on a military tank. But its real legacy lies in what it moved: industrial reactors, hydroelectric components, and massive turbine systems. The WHDX Arbuggy became famous for its precision heavy-haul operations across Spain, France, and Germany, sometimes requiring months of planning for a single route. In one standout mission, it transported a 90-ton transformer over 500 miles, navigating cities with inches to spare. One of the original units stayed in service for over 25 years, rebuilt and maintained continuously by Arbuggy. Proof that good engineering lasts. Now, if all of this seems outrageous, wait until you see number 1. This is the most powerful road truck ever built, and it's 100% real. Nicholas Tractomas TR 10x10 D100. This is it. The biggest, heaviest, and most powerful road truck ever constructed. The Nicholas Tractomas TR 10x10 D100. Built by Nicholas Industry of France, it was designed for one purpose: to be the most capable on-road hauler in existence. Measuring 35 feet long, 11.5 feet tall, 10 feet wide, and weighing over 88,000 pounds empty, it can tow loads well beyond 1 million pounds. This isn't a concept, it's a record-breaking reality. Its engine? A 27-liter Caterpillar V12, generating 1,000 horsepower and over 3,690 pounds-feet of torque. The transmission is a 16-speed manual with additional reducers, giving it the control needed to move impossibly heavy loads with total precision. It features a 10x10 drivetrain, all 10 wheels powered. Suspension is built with reinforced industrial springs, hydraulic brakes, and multi-disc systems to safely stop hundreds of tons of moving mass. From the outside, the Tractomas looks like a cross between a mining rig and a locomotive. Raised cab, armored steps, shielded lighting, and a low-pitched growl that sounds more like a generator ramping up than a typical engine. It's been used in Africa and the Middle East to move gas pipelines, offshore equipment, and infrastructure modules connecting ports and industrial hubs across long highway stretches and deserts. And yes, it holds the Guinness World Record as the most powerful road-legal truck ever built. One of the few units was delivered to Algeria, where it's reportedly still operating today, 2 decades later. So there you have it, the biggest and baddest heavy-haul trucks ever to conquer real-world roads. From military beasts turned industrial haulers to purpose-built mega machines, these aren't just trucks, they're engineering marvels that move the impossible. They represent something deeper than horsepower and torque. They stand for ingenuity, bravery, and the relentless pursuit of moving forward, no matter how massive the challenge. Now it's your turn. Which one of these giants would you want to see in action? Or better, which one would you be crazy enough to drive? If you enjoyed this ride through the world's most extreme road trucks, here's what to do next. Smash that like button. It tells YouTube this is content worth sharing. Subscribe to the channel, because we've got more machine legends on the way. Turn on the bell so you never miss the next unstoppable beast we bring to the screen. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.